It's hard to believe August is quickly almost coming to an end. And so I thought I would do an August garden tour. Also, I wanted to show you new bed that I'm doing. Still playing with some ideas. And the same thing with where the catalpa was. Looking at a couple different trees. They're probably not going to go in until November. I'm going to have them planted. But things are growing pretty well. So I thought we'd take a walk around and do a little bit of an August garden tour before we get into the fall, real fall. So come along. If you're new to my channel, my name is Robin, garden in Zone 6 in Northwest Connecticut. Thank you so much. I'm glad you found me. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much. Down below the video, you'll find a link to our Amazon store where we link products that we use all the time. Thanks for watching, and let's begin the tour. So in this overhead shot right there in the center, you can see the big gaping hole where the catalpa was. I wanted to begin our August tour in this bed back here for two reasons. Number one, thank gosh the sun isn't out at the moment, so I think you might be able to see things clearly. And second, my drone just hit one of these trees and I'm searching endlessly for it and I can't find it right now. So let's start right here. I have a couple of endless summer hydrangeas. I'm getting one or two blooms. The problem is that, you know, we had that late frost and that is really affected all of these macrophyllus. I mean, I have, like I said, you know, I have a couple of blooms. You know, here I have like one on this massive one. So that's kind of very disappointing this year. However, the panicle hydrangeas are doing amazing. So this is a new one called Limelight Prime. I just put it in here. I moved the hosta that was here over there, and I'll show you that in a second. So I have some Ligularia here, which is definitely starting to put on some of its blooms. You know, looks a little bit like a black-eyed Susan. I've got some ferns in here. I've got some daylilies that are done, and I'm going to start cutting the daylilies back. Here is a new butterfly bush, Pugster periwinkle. I've got a lot of epimedium in this bed, a lot of varieties. I've got some Palace purple. This heuchera wildberry is not doing really well. I'm going to put in a still be dark side of the moon here. I've got a few different hostas, little mouse ears one. Now the wee bit grumpy. Oh, there's a little frog. I have a lot of frogs. Where are you, guy? There he is. So wee bit grumpy that I had in my other bed over there was not doing too well. I transplanted it back here. It seems to be doing pretty well. The astilbe, I'm not going to bother, you know, cutting the spent blooms back on that. The regerzia, you can see, is really amazing. It's got, like I said, a endless summer hydrangea behind that, and then the three Diablo 9 barks are really just, I love the dark purple backdrop right here. So ladies mantle spreading like crazy. I did cut this back, and I am either gonna just, you know, move this somewhere else or pull them up because they're just rampant. They just keep spreading all over the place. This is a huge hosta called elegans. And then behind that I have goat's beard, aruncus, which you can see spans the entire width of the underside of this French pussy willow. And when I got that French pussy willow, it was literally like in a 3-gallon container. Now that was, you know, 7 years ago, but look at the size of it. It's crazy. This bed started out really as, for the most part, full shade. And over the years, it's gotten sunnier and sunnier. Most of the plants, I've got to say, really have adapted. We lost some trees over time. I have been putting, you know, more things in, but, you know, things happen. So here's the hosta that we moved from over where I put the new hydrangea in. Coringashoma, yellow wax bells. every year this sort of gets destroyed between the slugs and the Japanese beetles, but it's so unique. I hate to pull it out. It's just a really pretty, this ilex doesn't look great. We're talking about whether we want to keep it. I made the mistake of putting some black-eyed Susans in here, and while they're really pretty behind the bench here, I did put in a swamp azalea back there, and it's really being suffocated, so I'm gonna have to, you know, when these finish blooming, I'm gonna pull a few of them out. Oh, weeds, lovely. Hakanakloa, all gold, burning bush starting to turn color. More weeds I see. This bed's still looking okay. Hostas, spireas, but you can see now the beside the weeds, you can see the anemones are all starting to bloom. Which is why I put them back there so they can spread. But you know, we have, like I said, you know, things are starting to look tired. We've got a lot of weeds. So things, you know, need some attention. But this is that bed in the back. So I thought we would try to take this one bed at a time. I'm not going to go into the details of every plant because over time I think I've talked about most of them. But I really wanted to show you what things are looking like in August. Like I said, things are starting to look a little tired. All the daylilies, almost all my daylilies are finished, and I'm going to start cutting them back because they just look nasty. In some places, I've got annuals. I'm going to start pulling them out. This has been such a rainy year in Connecticut and humid that things just, you know, I don't think some things just don't look good, and what's the point of holding on to things that are just going to be dying back anyway? So this is bed number 1. So now let's head to the bed in the back. So if you follow me for a while, you know this bed was brand new last April in advance of my Garden Conservancy open days. So this pine is doing really well. It's got a nice strong leader up there. It's put on some nice growth already. I cut back all the catmint. This is Walker's Low, and it's doing pretty well. Cotinus Winecraft Gold looks good. I planted a couple of mums, not annual mums, perennial mums. This one is called October Glory. My elderberry back there looks pretty nice. Some of my grasses are not doing great, and also my blue glow thistle, very disappointing. I moved 3 of them out of this bed. I think they were just too wet. This one is hanging on, and for right now I'm going to leave it. So this hydrangea, I moved it from somewhere else, and frankly I don't know what it is, and it hasn't bloomed. So I'm really not sure what I'm looking at there. I think it might be City Line. I think it might be City Line Venice or City Line Mars. I've definitely got moles in this bed, which is driving me nuts. Like I said, some of the grasses are doing better than others. The elderberry looks okay. The cryptomeria looks okay. This year, thank God, my aronia has survived the rabbits. So I've got a lot of things in grow bags. I've got carrots, I've got feverfew, I've got cress, I got amaranth, atriplex, bupleurum, chard, more carrots. I've got potatoes. This is my second batch of potatoes. Got tomatoes, broccoli. Got more tomatoes over here. Got a climbing rose right here called Sunrose, Garden Sun. My gladiolas, I have not seen even one flower. I'm not sure why. So this bed, or this raised bed, I have a lot of celosia in here. I have a lot of scabiosa. You know, some of the celosia is very cool. Very cool. So that's probably been the most successful thing in this bed. The stock did terrible. It grew really well, and then it did terrible. My Rose of Sharon, definitely flowering like crazy, but of course, you know, then each one of those blossoms falls off. Kind of what a mess. Let's Dance Blue Jangles is still not blue, it's pink, but at least it's had a few blooms. And I've got a bumblebee who wants to get in the camera there. I added some Bevan's variety geranium, but here you can see the geranium Roseanne looks gorgeous. My paperbark maple, Acer Gricium, doing really well. Again, that was new. So I've got a couple of bags here with tomatoes in them. This is a new carex called Cappuccino. It's just hasn't found its stride yet, so it's not really standing up. And then these are all my cut flowers. So I have tons of snapdragons. I've got zinnias. I've got some Denver daisies, Rebecchias, got some Dara. I'm going to be adding, now this bed back here, oh, I'm so bummed. My sunflowers from Sunflower Steve, I had moles in here and they really dug up a lot of the plants. My cosmos didn't come up. I had a tansy in here. I had all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to actually be adding 2 hibiscus. These are called Edge of Night. So we're just waiting for this to dry out a little bit. So again, I've got lots of beautiful snapdragons. This is a butterfly mix. Straw flowers in this bed also. So over here, I moved I think I might have mentioned I was doing that. I moved my 7th Sun Heptacodium tree back here. And just look at the pinky winkies. Just gorgeous. But you can see I'm having issues with moles. They're making their tunnels. They're making their mess. But the pinky winky looks beautiful. The Enkianthus, not so good. I mean, you can see I have a big issue with water. And no matter how many times we try and get rid of this stuff, it's just heartbreaking that I can't get rid of all this standing water. The viburnums in the back here, Mary Easy, gorgeous as ever. So I guess let's go down keep going down this way. Norway spruce, just gorgeous. All right, over here, the helenium has started to bloom. Right here. And next to it we'll have, this is an aster called Raiden's Favorite. So right there we have a helianthus called Corrine. And this is a Rebecchia called Henry Eilers. Very unique flower. I added an Agastache Queen Nectarine. The coneflowers are all doing really well. The Drops of Jupiter doing really well. I added 2 double plate doozy spireas. The dahlias, I mean, the ones that are blooming are absolutely beautiful, but I'm kind of getting one flower at a time. Not getting, you know, like enough of any one at a time to actually, you know, make a bouquet with that one flower. This one is Boogie Nights. I pulled out, right, so this is a new grass called Morning Light. I pulled out Joe Pye weed. I pulled out the Herbstone Rebecchia that was there because, well, you can see there's a few stragglers. The whole plant hasn't been pulled out. Every year that plant flops, and these things, I mean, I have supports on these things because they keep falling forward. They're just, the clump has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. I also down there have my some annuals that I popped in there. Sweet William, I won't ever do that again. That was a mistake because I can't get to them. So this bed still looks nice. I'm getting to the point where I'm going to start taking the dahlias and moving them out of the beds so I can see where the holes are, see what needs to come out, see if what I might need to do. Sedum, Autumn Joy, lovely as always, from the beginning of the year all the way to the end of the year. My blue spruce has really this year put on some serious growth. This is a Colorado spruce, and that's an Abies fir concolor. So here we have oak leaf hydrangea. This is Alice. It is finished blooming, and I've started cutting off the blooms. I really grow this because the leaves just get absolutely the most gorgeous, intense red in the summertime, in the fall. Do not prune your hydrangea, your oak leaf hydrangeas, because they bloom on old wood. So if you're going to cut the spent blooms, you want to do that right now. So we've got a spirea still going here, reblooming. I've started to cut back daylilies, like I said. Got a zebra grass. You can't even see the support my husband made in there. Pinky Winky. We've had so much rain. Some of these things are just falling all over the place, and this is one of them. But you can see the Vernonia. Let's see. There's a New York ironweed. Vernonia can now be seen behind it because normally you can't really see it, but it's pretty tall. But Pinky Winky looking beautiful. I've got some Atlas roses in here. And then I've got, but again, the Pinky Winky is now laying on the roses and laying on the cone flowers, and there's no getting in there at this point. These were Cheyenne Spirit. Here's a dahlia called Eccentric, really pretty. All right, more grasses. Calicarpa, beautyberry. So it's starting to make its berries, and they'll become really dark purple. Now, if you remember in the beginning of the season, this was something that I literally coppiced to the ground, and you can see it's flushed back totally fine. Over here we have canna, and again some more daylilies that are just about finished. Some cypress, chemacypris, more grass. That was Carl Foster back there, doesn't look great. Those are Morning Light. And then a couple of other, again, daylilies that are finished. So that's this bed up to the greenhouse. So this bed in the back, again, is mostly shade. So we have a service berry, but it gets more than enough sun. Some Hakanakloa back here, some hostas, some Still Be Dark Side of the Moon that I added. I'm going to be adding another hosta right here. Got a bunch of dahlias that are just, sitting here. And this clethra, just beautiful, blooming like crazy, smells amazing. This Palace Purple, geez, this euchre is gigantic. Boxwoods, that's a new gen boxwood. Solomon Steel, still blooming, great for flower arrangements or for some filler foliage. Again, I did not cut the astilbes. I just left that foliage. This is Rock Run Ashley. And we've got a host of bees just totally enjoying themselves. Sort of hanging out, but just enjoying themselves. Hellebores back there. Hosta, more Palace Purple, and just a begonia in a container right here. So this bed over here gets morning sun, and it's pretty full at this point. Oh, this is such a sad day. The catalpa is out. Oh my God. And the roots, it was so much deeper than I thought it was going to be. I don't even understand. I guess just the The weight of the top canopy was just too much for the wind and the rain that we've been having. But what a huge void it leaves in this bed. I don't know, I guess we'll have to figure something out. Here's a shot from last fall, and you can see right there in the center the catalpa. I mean, it was gorgeous. It was a really big tree, and like I'll say in coming up, I am replacing it with a Wisteria. So here's just a shot of what it looked like. Okay, as we walk through the Wisteria arbor here, well, actually, before we walk through there, we've got on this side, we've got Cafe au Lait Dahlia. We've got Mrs. Robert Bryden. This is a non-vining clematis. Really beautiful. Light lavender flowers. Very, very, very pretty. And it's right next to this pink diamond hydrangea, which is loving it. So let's go back through the arbor, which is almost unwalkable at this point. So there's our pink diamond hydrangea, Siberian irises. The loosestrife is just about finished. I've got, you can see, let me back up. You can see that I've got a path over here and a path over here. I've got the Japanese maple Kota no Ito right here in the middle. I've got hawthorns right here. And I've got a Kusa dogwood over here. So these are Eustacia vi roses, and they will stay in these containers for the winter, and I'm going to leave them out. I've got a bunch of Shenandoah grasses and black-eyed Susans. Black-eyed Susans tend to kind of take over in this bed. I have to keep pulling them out. Right here, I am going to pull out. I had really pretty coneflowers, Magnus here. But the black-eyed Susans have taken it over. I'm going to pull it all out, and I'm going to put this Brobeck's Tower Thuya, Eastern Arborvitae, which stays small. I'm going to put that in there. It looks like finally, the seed heads here for the Schubertii alliums are gone, but they've been so pretty I haven't had the heart to pull them out. I do have an aster tucked back in there, but I don't think it's going to get enough light to bloom. Got some baptisias in there. I've got a liatris in there. I've got lots of snails in there, I see. I've got phlox in here. I like this phlox a lot, opalescence. I think I'm going to try and pull some of those phlox out of there. Again, they kind of keep spreading. Blackberry lilies, these have just finished. And I've got two really big Amsonia string theories back here that will turn a gorgeous color in the fall. Last year it was just magnificent with the Kusa dogwood. Firelight hydrangeas. Whoops, sorry. Firelight hydrangeas. This is a Woodgelia. I don't have the best luck with Russian sage. I don't care what the variety is. My garden is very wet, and they don't really do all that well. I cut the salvias back, and those are actually growing really nicely. Got a bunch of baptisias in here. Agasteki Blue Fortune back there. This was probably the most beautiful dahlia this year, and this is Michaela Miranda. When this opens up, it's just breathtaking. All right, another Chamaecyparis. I'm gonna keep walking down because it's confusing. So this is where the big catalpa was. I just bought a Stewartia that's going to be installed for me early November, and that's gonna go right there. So that's literally just gonna stay the way it is. Daylilies finished over here, but those daylilies right there are still blooming. It's called Why Not? Clematis. Here's another little, this is a pencil point juniper. My ruby ribbons grasses, I think what I need to do here is kind of dig them up, pull all the garbage out of them and then try to replant them. I've popped a bunch of coneflowers in here, some not doing great. Again, I think this area is very wet and I think they're actually getting too much moisture. The lobelia every year self-seeds itself all over here, and I have 3 Shenandoah grasses here. And here's a container, the skyrocket grass you can see in this container is doing really well. Another Viburnum Mariaci, that's the first one that I put in. Queen of Prairie. Thank goodness my husband made those towers. We have 4 towers supporting all this mess. Another Siberian iris, that was a gift from a friend, and some bee balm that self-seeds itself every year. Some Regal Splendor hostas. My gorgeous Dawn Redwood. And this is Elegans hosta. I just put in this Tuscan Gold Heliopsis. And again, this is where I lost my drone. I gotta find it. I may not be able to find it till the fall when things start dying back. Okay, so on this side of the bed, we've got some butterfly weed, milkweed, some more drops of Jupiter. This is a new gen boxwood in here. Another mum. Again, that's a perennial mum. I'm not big on annual mums. By the time you even get them home, they're ready to kaput. They're just so short-lived. They're great for front door decorations, and I think that's about it. Again, here's that why not. So I still have a couple of dahlias left. Daylilies left, not too many. Some Magnus coneflowers. This is a sprinter boxwood. Actually, so is that. This one's done really well. That one has struggled a little bit. This is Ruby Ribbons grass, my favorite. Gladiolas, again, nothing happening. There's a winter gem boxwood. And again, you can see right through here, there's the Baptisias. And here's Agastaki Blue Fortune. We're starting to get the berries on the Coosa Dogwood. And again, I've actually already been trying to pull out some of the coneflowers, some of the black-eyed Susans. I put a Dervilla in there. May have been a mistake, but you can see the Amsonia is pretty decent from here. Again, more Shenandoah grass. This is more Eustacia Vi rose. Here's a dahlia called Jason Matthew. I love this one. More coneflowers. Why do I keep saying that? More, not coneflowers, more black-eyed Susans. And some phlox that kind of sees itself around. I wish that one was open. This was called Giggles, and this was a new one for me this year. This is a grass called Heavy Metal. This is a panicum. Gold cone. And we're back to the beginning, and I have some, of course, Ogon here waiting to go into the ground next to this container with the caladiums and the cannas, the caladiums, the sweet potato vine, and I think everything else in there is kaput. So that makes this go around this bed. So if we go back through the Wisteria arbor, we'll see over here, again, so on this side of the path, there's the Japanese maple, Koto no Ito. Those were Siberian irises. We just cut them back because they just get in the way. Beautiful stilbe called Chocolate Shogun. Again, in this bed, I did not plant these black-eyed Susans, and they are also spreading, so I'm going to have to pull some of them out. This is a Bobo hydrangea, and that was new last year. The daylilies in this bed are all finished. The salvias, I've had a hard time cutting things back in here, but I did try to cut all the catmint back, but now that the catalpa is gone, I can get in and do some stuff. So you can see right here, these alliums are now starting to bloom. And boy, I have a lot of them. Oh, goodness gracious. And this does spread, I've got to say. They really do spread. Let's see if we can get in there really nice. They smell like garlic. So let me go back around the corner here. Again, this spirea found itself here. I didn't put it here. All right, so this side of the path, you'll see I have the 2 hawthorn trees. So over here, I have Durvilla. These salvias are struggling. I've cut them back. But again, we've had so much water. So these alliums are pretty well finished. I've got 3 baptisias here. I think these are pink lemonade. Wee bit grumpy, finished blooming. This Scatinus, I'm pretty sure is not, Winecraft Black is not getting enough sun, and it really hasn't grown. The daylilies, again, they're gone. I think I'm gonna put a Niagara Falls grass in here. Of course, this container is gonna come out. That just got annuals in it, the calla lilies and some supertunias. This one, however, is gonna stay. This has the Olivia Rose Austin in it, and right now has some coleus and some pink lemonade. Super bells. I'm adding a 3rd peachberry iced heuchera here. Again, these salvias are doing pretty decent, but the other ones don't seem to be. We've got some coral jade sedum in there. There's a bobo hydrangea. More Shenandoah grass, my 2nd favorite after ruby ribbons. We've got some liatris. And then on this side, we have Invincible Spirit 2 hydrangea. Firefly peach yarrow. I've started cutting this back. These big dahlias are coming out of here. I've got some agastache. Veronica white ones I've been trying to get to cut back, but it's just so covered with pollinators. It's almost impossible to get to this stuff. Palace purple heuchera. Again, I've got a bunch of dahlias sitting right here. I've got ruby ribbons grass there. This blue, why do I keep doing that? Double play doozy. I love this spirea. Again, it is sterile. It does not spread like Gold Mound does. So pretty, reblooming. I've got some, I think I have 3 tater tot arborvitaes in there, and they stay nice and small. I see 1, and I see 2 back in there. I'm pretty sure there's a 3rd. I guess I'm gonna have to wait and see. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's behind this white one's Veronica. That's why I can't even see it. A million weeds. This container will come out. It's got calla lilies that did not bloom this year. My skyrocket, this whole container I'm gonna pull out because I'm disgusted with it at this point. This is Cornell Bronze. Really beautiful, beautiful dahlia. The other thing in this bed, I've got catmint. I've got yarrow called Vintage Violet. I have a bunch of agastache in here. I had a bunch of ruby ribbons grass, but as we've been trying to clear some weeds and overgrowth here from this bed, I'm finding lots of vole holes, so that's not a good thing. This is Dwi Roy Albert. Beautiful when it opens. All right, so then I have a new area right here. We pulled out a bird tower, and we pulled out a ton of Joe Pye weed. Here's another ilex that were steeds that we're thinking of pulling out. Of course, the Joe Pye weed really was up against it, so this whole side, you know, needs to recoup, and I may just leave it. So I've got a weeping spruce, I've got some heucheras, I've got a mini twist, pine, I love that thing, can't wait to see that in. Got a couple different grasses and cone flowers, a little birch, Chesky birch, lots of proven winners plants. And then I've got, this is, I think it's called Vanilla Spice Clethra. And then there are a couple of viburnums next to it underneath this hawthorn. Let me see if I can get around there so you can see it. All these plants are going to my clients next week. So we have this, we have a couple of viburnums in here. So then you can see where my new bed is right there. So this is the area right next to my greenhouse. So I've got a lot of cone flowers. The price is white, Cheyenne Spirit, got a Chamaecyparis in here. I've got some black-eyed Susans in here, some Gora, some daisies, a couple of 9-barks, Tiny Wine Gold, Festivus Gold. My Wisteria is blooming. It's got those tiny, tiny little yellow flowers. This is a very unusual plant. Most people have not ever seen it. I've got a couple of hydrangeas in here that we had to move, you know, when we put in the greenhouse. This guy is City Line Venice, and he was really struggling all year, so I don't expect to see that blooming this year. I've got a couple of annual ribbon grasses in here, more Palace Purple. Heuchera, still a couple of daylilies here and there. This one is Passion's Lunar Eclipse. It's very pretty. And a couple of different Powwow White and Milkshake coneflowers. And then a little pine called Sarah Rachel. So this is this bed. The only thing I'm thinking here, well, I'm going to start cutting back the daylilies, of course, but I'm thinking right there that I might put in a grass. Other than that, and you know, the Gora for me does not last. It's really an annual. It's so pretty though. You know, I always think it's worth planting just for the airiness of it, but it just really doesn't seem to last here. So this is the bed to the left of the greenhouse. Okay, let's walk up the other side. So here's a golden full moon maple. Again, I've got more heucheras underneath. I've got lots of daylilies right here. I've got mountain mint back there. I've got like 4 very big old baptisias, firelight tidbit right here, more Palace Purple. Couldn't be easier to grow, of course. Monkshood. I don't even see any blooms yet. Monkshood blooms very late, sometimes almost too late for me. Calacanthus, Michael Lindsay. I don't think I see any blooms left anymore. Oh, maybe hidden in there. And a couple of spireas here, more drops of Jupiter. It's starting to get very buggy. Sorry if you see me waving my hands around. So we've got like the bridal veil, the bridal wreath spirea, and then this is just, I think, double play pink artisan. And then this, this bed right here, it's got some boxwood, creeping Jenny, Bethany, baby's breath that I planted last year, some Amok orange, again, more black-eyed Susans. Veronica castrum is, you know, almost done. There's still a few blooms here. I have a rose down in there that I need to move because it's totally not getting sun. And then this little king river birch is one of my absolute favorite things. Now, as we go up through this arch, we've got clematis, we've got wisteria. So behind it here, again, I think it's kind of funny because literally the bees are just, let's see if I can get them. They're all just napping. So I've got some more dahlias. This one's called Rosy Wings. There's lots of salvia in here. I had to replant the Shenandoah grasses this year because they were just so overtaken and there was so much damage in the last couple of years. I had to replant those. I love them. And hopefully next year they will once again be the stars of this bed. The salvia all got cut back and that's growing pretty well. If you remember, I cut this salix down to nothing, like a couple of branches, and it is on steroids. I mean, I don't even think I can get in there at this point to start cutting it back anymore. It's out of control. It's crazy. Got some Dara coming up in here. And my container right there, the lily is finished, but my superbena and my petunias are still growing. And here it's ageratum I grew from seed. I do have some yarrow from seed and some salvia down here that I grew from seed, but I haven't seen it bloom. More geranium roseanne. More geranium roseanne here. And here underneath my apple. Let's see. This is Amethyst Falls over here. So all the daylilies here are finished. Catmint was all cut back and is regrowing. I'm still seeing some of the same problems though. So I don't know if I'm gonna have to replace that next year. Again, we've got lots of geranium roseanne, the apple, crab apple, and then the monster salix. Got a couple of boxwoods, some new roses here from Heirloom Roses. Those are going to get different containers. And then my annual flower bed here, just a bunch of zinnias. There's a delphinium that's finished for bascum. Some ammi over here, some basil, another baptisia, some spruces here, and more drops of Jupiter here. I guess the drops of Jupiter is pretty happy because it's really flopping though. That doesn't make me happy. So I've got lots of drops of Jupiter in this bed. And I've got regular oregano in this bed that no matter how many times I pull out is still there. So that's that bed. So here in the front, you know, these annuals are still all looking really good. I've got salvias and I've got supertunias. My tough stuff hydrangeas, really not blooming, and I think that's because the whole first flush I probably lost in that late freeze we had. Plain the blue salvia, the bees, the pollinators, period, are going ballistic over this. I've left this area open for tulips. These are little lime hydrangeas. That's a lilac back there. Inkberries we've cut back, but again, those seem to grow really well. And then here's my new hollies, and those look really good, and I think I'm going to end up having to probably pull the catmint out, but it's reflushed pretty decent over here, so I'm just going to have to wait and see how that goes. Deutzia, got a lot of Queen Anne's lace spreading itself around. Again, here's some more tough stuff hydrangeas. Again, they're just not blooming. I've had, you know, a bloom here and a bloom there. Got a new grass back in there. I've got a lot of verbena bonariensis around. So this is a poet's wife from David Austin, rose. And this is the best that the Super Bells Pink Lemonade looks in any container that I did this year. Just looks great right here. We cut the Amsonias back because the coneflowers have found their way in there. Boom Chocolata, we cut that back and it's totally reflushing. I love that. Geranium. Winterberries have berries that'll start redding up at some point soon. Another little spruce. My massive wall of red twig dogwoods. My magnolia is not doing too well, but still have some annuals over here also. Some salvias and some petunias. My quickfires look really nice. All the panicles are doing really well this year, I think. My summerific hibiscus is very big, and it's got lots of blooms, but it hasn't bloomed yet, which is a little heartbreaking because I'm starting to see everybody's summerific pictures. But again, this is one of those things, don't forget, you know, it comes up very late in the spring. Like it could be the end of May before you see this, early June. Don't cut it back until the late spring, and then cut it literally 6 inches down to the ground and it'll reflush. And look at this, this is all new growth. So it gets huge. Deutzia, another Deutzia. My Spirea ogons that you hear me talk about all the time. Got another Colorado blue spruce. A lot of peonies. Actually, the peonies, the foliage is still looking pretty good, I've got to say. I've got a Campagna fountain right there. So another plant you saw me really cut back was the Cotinus smoke bush, and those are both doing really well. The color is just gorgeous. And right below it, as if it couldn't set it off any better, I think, is some coleus. And then the path over here, again, more salix that I keep cutting back. Black-eyed Susans. We've got 9 barks. All along here, we've got 9 barks. Got some, let me, hang on a minute. Stokes asters. I've got 6 of those right here. Daisies, keep cutting them, I keep cutting them back. More 9 barks. A couple of daylilies. This is called Visible Talent. And oh, here's Fashion Monger. Dahlia. I've got a lot of Burnet in here. I've got Persicaria. I think that's going to come out. While I like it, it's way bigger than I ever wanted it to be. I've got a Glow Girl Spirea, which I'm loving. Very lovely. And then, yeah, these are all lilacs across the back here. And these are all 9 barks here. All right, so let's go back to the last bed that we're gonna take a look at, which is out over here beyond the river birches. So here you can see the backside of the salixes and the lilacs. So over here we have another lilac, Miss Kim. Quite a few spireas, daylilies. I have a couple azaleas. I have an aurelia that's doing really well. Look at the size of these elephant ears. I can't even Believe me, I still haven't decided if I like it. Got some blue kazoo spireas, more black-eyed Susans, of course, more gold mound spireas. So in here we have 3 French pussy willows and 1 red twig dogwood. I've got some brunnera down there. I've got some euphorbias that I've planted in there. 2 of them are doing better than the 3rd. A foxglove I transplanted over here because it was totally getting buried under the Coosa dogwood. There's the gold mound. A brunnera. Another gold mound. More black-eyed Susans. I've got thalictrum. I don't know, my meadow rue never does that well. I mean, it's blooming, but it's just, it doesn't do that well over here. Lots of alliums to hopefully keep the critters away. Some hostas, more black-eyed Susans, a really big regerzia in here. And as we swing around, there we're back to the hawthorn bed over here. We've got a couple, oh, I see something that I pulled out because it didn't last. Again, we've got the coral jade sedum in there. Liatris blazing star. Got some heucheras. Dressed up evening gown. Dressed up evening gown. Some lilies that have finished. Here's where I put those thistles that were not doing well over there. And then I've got a couple of containers here with some Dara and, you know, a variety of other things. So we're back at the backyard. I think that completes the tour. I'm sure this was more than long enough for all of you. So stay tuned and I'll show you how we end up doing this bed. Right now we're waiting for dirt. I just, believe it or not, have not been able to get somebody to call me back to give me a dirt load. And then when the catalpa replacement comes, when my new Stewartia comes, I will show you that over here. And then we can, you know, see how things change and things are looking. Like I said, I'm going to start taking all my dahlias, which are, you know, in pots all over the garden. I'm going to start, as soon as my clients' plants are out of here, I'm going to start taking all of these and moving them over there so I can see where the holes are, so I can see clearly what I want to do. I'm a very visual person. I like to try things out before I do them. Yeah, so I think that concludes this tour. I'll see you in the next video.